Hi, my name is Lina Rojas, and today I'll be talking about modern slavery. Um, Slavery is usually thought of a thing of the ancient times, but slavery is a thing today in the 21st century. We have to deal with something that can be also that is called modern slavery. Modern slavery can also be called human trafficking. The 13th Amendment did not abolish slavery at all. In fact, human trafficking is what have many countries concerned all over the world. And there are many types of human trafficking. Sex trafficking and illegal child labor. I want to first talk about what is slavery. And slavery is when individuals are owned by other people. And for like when somebody is a slave of some other people, it's usually when they are not free to do what they want, or they are forced to work for a very low salary. Um, Types of slavery is when women are forced to work in prostitution, or children are forced to work in factories for very low salaries, or girls are forced to marry older men, or when men is forced to work and to do domestic chores. Uh, the second the second type of modern slavery is sex trafficking. Sex trafficking is usually tied to sexual slavery and human trafficking. People sex traffic women and children by selling them, and this usually occurs when they kidnap girls or children and take them to other countries to sell them. According to a UN report, there are 2.4 million people throughout the world who are victims of human trafficking, and this gives a $32 billion profit to traffickers. The story of Austin, she's a girl, and when she was 14, she was it cannot be called kidnapped, but she was sex trafficked by men, and her story is very inconvenient because she tells a story about how she met this man when she was only 14 years old, and how this guy convinced her to run away from her house. And she says that what he used to do it was like he used to listen to her. He used to ask her about her dreams and her problems, and with all that, he took the advantage and he forced her to leave her house. But she was lucky enough that she could go back to her house. When after being prostituted, there was policemen that found her, and they took her back to her home. But she says that it's not fair that the person that forced her into those things was only taken to jail for 1 year. This is a very fortunate story because even though that happened, she was able to go back home. But the story of many others is that they have to learn to live with that, and they are not able to see their families again. And the third thing I want to talk about how modern slavery is, it's child labor. And there are several types of child labor. Child labor is slavery. One is the dancing boys of Afghanistan, followed by the children soldiers in armed conflicts, and chocolate slavery in Ivory Coast. The dancing boys in Afghanistan is that they have boys in they teach little boys how to dance for older men, and these boys are no older than 9 years old, and they have to dance, and they are promised a better life, and then after they are used and they are prostituted, and after that they just leave them and they don't pay them, but the people that prostitute them, they gain a lot of money. And when these kids grow up, that since that is the only world they know, they become like this is called Bakyabasi, and they become Bakyabasi themselves, and they prostitute other kids. And the soldiers in armed conflicts are these kids are taken to wars, and they are taught how to shoot or how to fight. And this is called slavery because they are not paying those children, and those children are kidnapped from their families and just taken to war without them knowing what are they going to be doing. And chocolate slavery on the Ivory Coast, um, this is one of the worst things because we all eat chocolate and we all like that, but we don't know how they are made. And this chocolate that we all have is because of the children, and they have children worked in their factories because they have little hands, and that's really good for them to work with the chocolate seeds. And when the kids don't want to work there anymore, they harm them and they tell them you have to still work here until you get better, and once you get better you can leave. But they never get better because they break their legs, or they really harm them. So it's really sad for kids that work in the chocolate companies. And most of these kids they don't receive a salary, and they are just working there illegally. In conclusion, we can see that like slavery was not over in the 19th century. In the 21st century, slavery is still a thing today, and that we all have to think about it because we don't think that there are people working for no salary. There are kids working for no salaries, or that there are kids that are being prostituted, and we don't think that as a slavery, but it is a form of slavery. Thank you.